So I'm the CEO and founder of MoviePass, and we're in the US, and we are a theatrical subscription service that's Web2 that's going to Web3. So part of the big thing why I'm here is talking about how, cinema isn't something that we think is broken, that people don't want to go to or experience. If anything, it just needs a technology upgrade. And we're the company that's starting to do that. A lot of people don't know that moviegoing is actually the #1 out-of-home entertainment activity in the world. People go to movies more than they go to sporting events or amusement parks or live musical events than anything else there is. So just in the US alone, if you're able to get a certain percentage of 30% of the moviegoers to become subscribers, you would actually double the size of box office in the US alone. So that's part of the thing that we're focused on because we find it changes behavior. So historically, these are some of the higher average where we've had 3 million subscribers who in a single year saw over 50 million movies with 4% market share with an ARR around $450 million. So we're focused on 3 different areas for where we're heading with the metaverse. And so there's the marketplace, there's metaverse cinema, and then there's a DAO. So what I'm going to do is walk through each of these and kind of give you a breakdown of what they are. So with the Web3 marketplace, there's basically 4 areas that we see that Web3 tools can lift this industry to its new level and new heights. So one of the things is focused on a token economy. So what we do is for each member, we give them a certain number of tokens for their subscription. In that marketplace, they're able to trade that for movie tickets. They're able to exchange those tickets back and forth with each other. So maybe I book and go to a movie, but I can't go, or I decide I'm not going to go. Well, instead of trying to sell that, you can exchange that right there inside of the app. Is anybody going to go see the new Black Panther movie? Any of you guys going to go see it? No? All right, well, a lot of people said yes. So it opens this weekend just in case. So that's one of the first things that it allows you to do that in that economy. The second thing is a thing called tasking. So whether you do things like you're an actor or you're an acting teacher or you do things in the industry, this economy allows you to do taxing where you can exchange your services for other things right there inside of the ecosystem. So there's some exciting stuff about that. So let me give you an example of how that works. So movie studios often want feedback and do focus groups and other things. And they have very large or very small number of people that they're asking, what do you think? Can you give us feedback? But what we create in this economy is the ability to ask a very broad number of people, but instead of giving all of those people cash, you're able to give them digital currency that they can use inside of the system. So they're able to get better feedback on trailers, posters, character development, other things in the movie plots that they're often doing with small focus groups. And so you play a bigger role in how that happens. Another area, so has anybody ever seen a James Bond film? Anybody? Okay. So those movies have huge sponsorship partnerships. So for instance, you have Heineken, you have Omega Watch, you have Hugo Boss suits, and what they do is they actually cast those things in the film. Well, they do very big advertising campaigns, which we all see. All of those ad dollars are spent to drive traffic back to the movie, right? Well, but they spend that ad dollars on YouTube or Google, and a small number of it makes it back. So what they're looking at doing now is they can say to you, hey, if you watch my branded content on this platform, I'll give you the movie ticket for free. And so that closes the gap where there's now no one standing in between you and those brands that want access to you and to be able to communicate with you directly. So that's kind of the whole sponsorship category. And last is the very big market of collectibles and commemorative material. So a lot of people don't know this, but the collectible market is as big as $400 billion a year in exchanges. And so over here on the right is actually what was originally a $7 Boba Fett doll from the second Star Wars that was released back in 1977. It actually set a Guinness Book record for selling for $236,000 about 6 months ago. And one of the reasons was this piece, they used to sit on his back and it would shoot off. You would press a button and it would eject off of him. It sat right inside of here. But they determined that because it was a choking hazard, not to release the product. So there was a limited number that were out in the market, and then they pulled it back. And so it became a collectible that there's supposedly about 10 or 15 in the world. On the most recent Matrix, they started doing limited edition NFTs, where now movies are starting to do these airdrops with these limited edition pieces. So they're starting to tie it in with going to the movies, being engaged with it, that you're seeing a digital collectible market emerge there as well. So this is one of the areas that we're really exciting, because with us being involved in the ticketing and transaction layer, you're able to create that engagement at that level. So we think this is going to be a very big market, and this is one of the first spaces that you'll see a real world application start to come in place using NFTs. The other space that is really, really huge, it's what's called fan art. So right now the studios, there's no real commerce that happens here, but you have these artists that go and they create these works, and today they just kind of live on the internet and nothing happens with them. But we believe that there's a very big direct-to-consumer fan art world that also can benefit from a lot of the technology that NFTs have. So the studios will allow a certain number of them, and they'll allow you to exchange them and trade them, but there's no real market. So what they're doing is they'll make a real poster or real art, and there's a handful of dealers who you can go there and buy them, but it's not a world that can scale. So we've already seen, again, there's this huge opportunity there that's just sitting there waiting for Web3 technology to be able to take off. And I'm really excited about this area. The third area is, are you guys familiar with POAPs? So POAPs are proof of attendance protocol badges. So in the US, the Dallas Cowboys did a huge deal with Bitcoin that now when you have a ticket and you go to a game, that digital ticket will actually unlock an entire set of rewards and things related to the game. So what's different from this is, let's say I buy a ticket, but nothing happens to my ticket. But if I actually go and I attend it, it completely unlocks an experience that's digital, that's only made for people who've gone. And so you can do that with NFTs and with blockchain technology, where you can't do that with, say, a web experience and you say, okay, you went and logged in. But now, historically, someone says, hey, not only was that movie great, but I was there on opening weekend, and they actually have proof that they did it and they're rewarded. So the movie studio can also go back in time and say, hey, thank you for seeing the first one. Here's a sequel, and if you see it again, we're going to give you something else because you also supported us the last time. They're not able to do any of that and tie that in from a promotional standpoint today. So we really think this is going to be a huge area as well. So I'm really thrilled about this next piece. So one of the challenges is what we call windows in the movie industry. So right now there's 3 windows. There's the theatrical window, there's a pay-per-view window. A pay-per-view is either I rent it or I buy it. And then there's a streaming window where they put the title on streaming. Well, those windows are starting to collapse and merge, but they're running into a problem where if I put it on a streaming service, I don't make as much money as if I actually get you to buy a movie ticket. So what we believe is part of the solution is to actually have a VR experience. So think of a sporting event where there's a game, but the only people that can see the game are at the stadium. Well, if you unlock that, then people at home can also experience it. So for example, if there's a movie, if Dune is gonna play at your local theater at 7 o'clock, I could buy a ticket through the theater for a 7 o'clock show, go into VR, and experience the same experience of that 7 o'clock show simultaneously if I want to do it in the metaverse. You will be able to walk into that theater's virtual cinema, sit down in that seat, and watch the exact same show at the exact same time. And so that capability, we've filed our provisional patents, and we have coming in the near future. And so we're excited to be able to demonstrate this technology. All right, last one, so DAOs, you guys are insiders, so I don't have to explain everything about a DAO. But in the movie industry, a lot of people are focused on what we call top-down DAOs. A top-down DAO is, hey, give me money, I'm gonna make a movie, and I'm gonna give you some fractional participation in that movie. A bottom-up DAO is you take a group of people and you say, we're gonna fund the movie industry, but instead of giving you cash, we're going to buy your movie tickets, right? Which is where you're trying to get anyway. And so what we do is the back end, or what we call the last mile, which is the hardest mile. A director wants people to see their film and they want to sell tickets to it. So what we're doing is doing the selling portion on the back end and guaranteeing that box office for opening weekend through what we call a purchase DAO. It's the equivalent of a cooperative where, like a farmer's co-op, what happens is the farmers put their money in. When the produce is finished, they come and they give the produce to those who paid in advance for that. So that's how basically the DAO works, which is a bottom-up DAO. So those are the 3 areas that we have coming. Animoca Brands is our lead investor. We're really excited. We're going to be announcing that. And that's how you can reach me, which is really easy. That's my email. There you go.
Stacy, what an absolute presentation. You legend. Thank you so much for that.
Buddy. Thank you.
And it's really interesting. We know, because once we've seen it, we can't unsee it, right? Yeah. We understand the ability to be there first. We understand the ability to be remunerated. We understand the ability to be a supporter. I'm really interested to understand that. How are the traditional, historic, big movie houses adopting to this? Because ultimately it's a little bit like the record business in the 90s with regards to CDs, and then of course the streaming services, they resisted it because we were coming in to democratize.
Yeah.
How are the big picture houses in the likes of LA looking at this? Are they welcoming to it? Are they resisting, or are they bringing you in?
I mean, it's like classic. You've got the stakeholders that are resistant to it. Very slow to move. It's been working for 100 years, why change it, right? And so it's very disruptive, but we're forward thinking and kind of delivering that disruption. But we know change is coming. It's inevitable. We've seen it in the music industry.
Absolutely, and technology never goes backwards, and it's amazing to see in the music industry where people will be remunerated for actually what they contribute, and with micropayments and the ability for artists to have different streams within a track, once it gets paid for, that they, due to a smart contract, get remunerated right away is really revolutionary. Anyway, a big round of applause for Stacy. What an awesome presentation.
Thanks,
Stacy.